Hello. This is my first time I have been on here. And I just want to thank you for being here with me. And I just feel really grateful that I'm here. I am going to need to be using paper. I am very much a paper person. Technology works for me, but I do still rely on paper. So I would like to say welcome to the first Heartfelt with Julie Majarrison, a space for honest stories, tender truths, and soul deep connections. I'm your host, Julie Majarrison, and here we explore the questions that stir something real in us. Questions about joy, fear, healing, and the moments that have shaped us. Each episode is an invitation to slow down, go deeper, and hear the kind of stories that remind us we're not alone in this human experience. So wherever you are right now, thank you for being here, and let's begin. I want to share with you my mission statement on why I decided to do podcasting. So, Heartfelt is more than a podcast. It's a space for real human connection. My mission is simple: to give people a voice, not the polished, performative voice that society often expects, but the voice that comes from heart, comes from soul. For the first 50 years of my life, I was led by my mind, by rules, roles, and the expectations of the world around me. I lived in my head, doing what I thought I should do, rather than what really truly resonated with me. In all that time, I often felt unheard, misunderstood, and not seen. But something shifted when I began to listen, not just outwardly, but inwardly. I started to heal my soul. I began to follow what felt true, what felt whole, and in doing so, I finally began to be seen by myself. Heartfelt was born from that shift. This podcast isn't about being the expert. It's about holding space for others to share their journey and their perspective without judgment. Here, your voice matters. Here, your story is enough. Here, you are being heard. I am deeply passionate about having people being heard because I have felt not heard for so long. And now that I'm coming from my soul, well, most of the time, my head still is there. I really enjoy the feeling of coming inwardly. So throughout my podcast, I am going to be speaking just about my experiences, about my growth. I'm going to be experiencing lots of different shifts as I go through all of these interviews. Some of the interviews will be just me talking. Other interviews will be me interviewing people who have a great insight on how it has helped me in the journey of growth. I could be talking about circadian rhythm, could be talking about how gratitude journaling has given me so much inner peace. I will be talking about nourishment for the mind, body, and soul. Also, for the physical body, because my journey has been really about getting in touch with what my whole body is trying to tell me. Some of the interviews I will be asking questions, and I have set questions that I'm going to ask, and I would like to share them with you now. So there is 10. I mightn't ask all the 10. I might just choose some of them, and I might even add some in. So these are the questions that I could be asking. What brings you joy? Wow, what does bring me joy? On my next episode, I'll be answering all these questions. What fear do I have that I'm aware of that's holding me back? Have you ever had a life-changing moment? Has there been a moment that I wish I could freeze in time? Do I have a trigger that I'd like to share about? If a genie jumped out of the bottle and granted me one wish, what would that be? Oh, that's a tricky one, isn't it? What is something I have never said out aloud, but I wish someone would ask me about? When was the last time I truly felt seen? And what was about that moment that stayed with me? If I could send one message back to my younger self, not advice, just a message, what would that be? What does healing look like to me right now? I wonder if there's any questions there that get you thinking, get you feeling. I wonder if you need to have time to ponder over it, or whether your soul is wanting to be heard. If you are experiencing a lot of answers coming up, or a bit of intrigue on what you'd say, I would love to interview you. So please contact me. There's a link below. You can contact me on social media or PM me, email me. I would love to hear from you if you feel this really resonates with you. I was talking to my husband yesterday in preparation for today's first podcast interviews, and my husband said to me, when did you feel the first time you started to do self-discovery journey? And I went, wow, that's an interesting question. And I really had to have time to think. My brother committed suicide 27 years ago, and he was my role model. And I was totally destroyed when this happened. And that was a big moment that made me start to ask questions. I can't remember the significant question that came up at that time, but I do know that I started to ask a lot more questions. But when my husband asked me the question about the really pivotal moment that made me see that I am a little bit different from mainstream people, and that was when I was about, I'm going to say 25 years ago, and I had read a book. I can't remember the book that I read, but it was a spiritual book, a self-help book, and there was this one thing that really stood out to me, and that was about how I'm not in the present moment that much. And it gave you a tool of putting something in your pocket that you can feel. And every time you feel it, then that brings you back to the now. So I was walking along Bargara Beach with family and I picked up a rock, and that rock felt so special to me. It was like so smooth. It was so beautiful to me. And I put it in my pocket and I was trying to practice, being in the now. And when I shared what I was doing, my family I felt, they didn't make me, I felt ridiculed. I felt weird. I felt they didn't understand me. So I actually threw the rock away. And I felt when I first picked up the rock, I was that hermit crab, just game enough to come out of the shell and to try something different. But when I felt ridiculed, I threw the rock away and I went back into my shell like the hermit crab did. That was the first experience where I felt I actually had a little bit of courage to actually come out. But then when I felt weird, different, I called round, I I went back in. And that was a big moment for me because throughout that time, for the last 25 years, I can see along on my timeline how many times I've had the courage, then I've gone back in. I've had the courage, gone back in. Well, 6 years ago, when my first marriage ended and I had the rug pulled from out from underneath me, I was vulnerable. I was thrown into this big goopy mess on the floor. Fetal position, having to literally take one breath of a time to get through the day. Then I really, really felt like the universe gave me this opportunity and took the shell off me. So I was that hermit crab trying to find that shell that I could fit into. And 6 years later, I feel like I've found the right shell. And now I am learning and growing and coming from within rather than external gratification. So this is a little bit about my journey, and over the episodes coming, you'll get to know me more and more. And I'm doing this to help people find their own inner voice, to find the courage to climb out of that shell and to actually start being who they really, truly believe they are, to come from soul and let soul be heard. So I would like to thank you for listening to my first ever episode. And I am so grateful for you sharing this moment with me. I hope something in this conversation stayed with you, opened something up in you, simply made you feel seen. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to continue the journey with me, be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember, your story matters. Thank you.